Hello everyone. In this video we will be covering about some of the concepts of the kinematics chapter. Basically we will do couple of questions which would cover most of the concepts which we have covered in other videos of this chapter, and we will look at how what we have learned should be applicable in the problem solving parts. So the first question we will do in this video is regarding the concepts of average velocity, average acceleration, and the relation between velocity and speed and direction of velocity. So these are some of the important concepts which we have learned and which we have gone through, but it will be really interesting to apply these concepts in a problem, and through that problem I think that you would be able to appreciate the concepts more, and it would be good to learn the concepts through this problem. So the question says that we have a circular path of radius 5 meters, and there is a point A here and there is a point B here, and a particle is moving from point A to point B. So the motion of the particle is from A to B. So A to B, and the particle starts at A. An interesting thing about circular motion is that the particle, because it's moving in a circular motion, it always has a velocity which is tangential to the circle. And even if we do not know this fact, we can easily see that because the particle is going this way, and at this point the tendency of the particle or the velocity of the particle should be in this direction. Similarly, at point B, the direction of the velocity of the particle should be in this direction. So this is something which we will assume that we know, and we will proceed with this much information. Other thing which is given to us is that the speed, so like mind you, the speed is given, not the velocity. The speed is constant and it is 2.5 meter per second. Speed is given and it's given that it's 2.5 meter per second. So now we have to calculate the average velocity of the particle between path A and B, and average acceleration, and all these concepts. So first of all, so what are the parameters we know? We know that the path taken by particle is from A to B. We know the length of the path because we know the radius. So the length AB, or recall that it will be equal to the distance, because distance is the length of the actual path covered by the particle. So the distance should be equal to pi into r by 2. This is because this is 1/4 of the circumference of the circle. So it would be pi into 2.5. One interesting thing that I could have used the value of the pi 3.14 and could have found out the actual value, but it is not necessary right now, because we have to notice all these concepts in a question that the speed is given which is 2.5 as well, so it's possible that I might be cancelling out 2.5 or all those things. So it's not always good to put the value of each and everything and then solve it. Many times it's good to just put out the parameters or put out the values of the variables in the last step, so that before that whatever cancellation or whatever cancelling things should have happened, they happen. So we know the length of the part AB, and we know that the definition of the speed so we are just recalling that the definition of the speed at an instant is the magnitude of velocity at that instant, and the definition of average speed is distance upon time taken, or time interval. So in this question we do not know the time interval, and it would be very good to find time interval, because we will be using it to calculate the velocity as well as the acceleration. So we know the distance, we know the speed, so we can easily calculate the time taken by the particle to go from point A to B. So the time taken, or the time interval in going from A to B is distance upon speed. So 2.5 upon 2.5. So now you can see that the 2.5 has easily cut it off, and now we have got only with pi. So it is pi seconds, or I can write 3.14 seconds. Now we need to calculate the velocity, average velocity and average acceleration. So just recall the things which we discussed about average velocity is that average velocity is the final position minus initial position upon time interval, and average velocity is a vector. So we know that the final position and initial position has to be defined with respect to an origin. So if I am considering this to be my origin, so this is O, the center of the circle, then I can define that the initial position of the particle in vector form. So I am considering this to be my coordinate system. This is x and this is y with origin this. So this means the x is along this way and y is along this way. So I know that the initial position of the particle is at point A, and this is also 5, but this is minus 5 j cap. And similarly, the final position of the particle is 5 I cap. So now I know the time which I have calculated. So now I can calculate the average velocity, which is 5 I cap and minus plus 5 j cap upon 3.14. So as you can see that because velocity either instantaneous or average is a vector, so we have got the value of the average velocity in a vector form. Now let us go ahead and calculate the average acceleration as well. So before that, so just recall that I was discussing about the direction of the velocity. So direction of the velocity, the initial direction and the final direction. But what should be the direction of the velocity of what should be the direction of the average velocity? So if we are not able to figure out the direction of the average velocity from this formula, just recall that we discussed that the average velocity is dependent on the magnitude is dependent on this term, but the direction is dependent on the difference of this. And Pf minus Pi is nothing but the displacement vector. And displacement vector, we defined it from the difference of the final position minus initial position. And it is actually the vector joining the final and the initial position. So the direction of the average velocity is AB cap. So the direction of the average velocity is the same as the direction of the AB vector. Now let us find out the average acceleration, and just recall that the average acceleration is final velocity minus initial velocity upon time. Now we have not calculated the final velocity. We have to know the velocity at the final moment or final instant, as well as the velocity as the initial instant or initial moment. And now we will be using this part of the formula, which says that the instantaneous speed is the magnitude of the instantaneous velocity. So if I intend to find the v final vector, then I know that the instantaneous or the magnitude of the v final vector would be the speed at that point, and we know that that is 2.5. But there would be a direction vector which would be indicating its direction, and we discussed that at the final position, that is a b, the tendency of the particle will be to go up, because that is the tangential direction of the circle. So this is j cap. Similarly, I can also define initial velocity. Still the instantaneous speed is same as point A as well as point B. So the magnitude will be 2.5, and the direction, because it's tangential to the circle and it's along x-axis, it is I cap. So because I know the final and the initial velocity, I can calculate the average acceleration. So it will be final minus initial 2.5 j minus I, j cap minus I cap upon 3.14. This will be my average acceleration. And what would be the direction of the average acceleration? That we can find using the simple vector analysis which we have covered in different videos before this chapter. And it says that okay, the two vectors are, first is 2.5 j cap, so this is 2.5 j cap, and the second is minus 2.5 I cap minus. So direction of acceleration would be this. And it's interesting to see that minus 2.5 I cap means the vector is going in this direction, and 2.5 j cap is that vector is going in upward direction. So the direction is this, and the acceleration is in this direction, that is toward the center. And because the acceleration is toward the center, that is why my particle, even having the even after having the velocity as tangential to the path, it's always moving along the path due to this acceleration which is acting along the center of the circle. This is one concept which we will be going through in detail in later part, in the later part of the physics syllabus, and will be interesting to know that why a particle keeps on moving along the circle. But the good takeaways to have from this problem are that, first of all, we were introduced with the concept of speed, and we used both the formulas of the speed. So initially we considered that because it was given that the speed remained constant, we used the average speed formula to calculate the time which was taken by the particle to go from A to B, and then the time, once we calculate the time, we used this time interval in the calculation of the average velocity as well as the average acceleration. For average velocity, we used the simple formula of the final position minus initial position, that is the displacement vector, and then we use the time which we have calculated earlier in the initial part of the question to find the average velocity. We can easily see the direction of the average velocity from the final expression which we have got, or we can easily see from the earlier part itself that the displacement actually taken by the particle is the AB vector. So the average velocity should be in the direction of the AB vector only. In the next part, we were interested in calculating the average acceleration. To calculate the average acceleration, we need to find the final velocity as well as the initial velocity. Now we are using the second formula related to the speed, that is the instantaneous speed, or the speed of a particle at an instant is actually the magnitude of the velocity of that instant. So the final velocity would be having the same magnitude of 2.5, but the direction would be tangential to the circle at that point, and the tangential direction would be along the path along which the particle has a tendency to move. So the particle had a tendency to move from A to B, so the direction of the tangential will be in the upward direction. So j cap, and similarly we can find the initial velocity using the 2.5 magnitude and the direction along the tangent to the circle, that is 2.5 I cap, and we will be able to calculate the average acceleration using the final and the initial velocity as well as the time. And we can easily find a direction using the vector analysis, which we know that okay, 2.5 j cap is in upward direction, minus 2.5 I cap is in the left direction. So the vector addition would be at an angle of 45 degree to any of the previous vectors. So this is the direction of the average acceleration. So I really like this question because overall it introduces the concept of a circular motion, which is not very well explained till now, but it introduces the 2D motion and it relates speed and uses both the formulas of the speed. It relates the direction of the average velocity. It it forces us to find the final and the initial velocity when we did not know it. So these are really good concepts which are all of them are used in only one question. I would suggest that you should remember this question whenever you are going through the concepts of average velocity, acceleration, because if you are clear about this question, then there are many concepts which would be clear in your head whilst attempting all the concepts or all the problems related to these concepts. Now let us move through to the next question. So in previous videos we also discussed about the uniformly accelerated motion, in which we discussed the different equations which we use to solve different problems. So we'll be doing one small problem related to that only, but earlier on we were doing the problems in the 1D motion in the x direction, but here we'll be doing it in the y direction, and we'll introduce the concept of gravity and how are we considering the gravitational force and gravitational acceleration. So we know that the gravity, because it's pulling us towards the earth, so it's always acting in the downward directions, and it is denoted by small g, and small g is the acceleration due to gravity. One important thing, one Cartesian system which we follow for the positive and the negative sign convention is this. So you can just relate to this question as well, that we are considering x and y in the right and in the upward direction. So anything which we are considering towards the right, that is towards this x-axis, we'll be considering it positive, and anything which we are considering towards the left side of the x-axis, we'll be considering it negative. And it is similar to the y-axis as well. Let's say if I am throwing anything in the upward direction, then the velocity direction would be up, and I would be saying that the velocity is positive because it's moving in the upward direction. Because the gravity is acting downwards, so I will consider so the value of the gravitational acceleration is 9.8 meter per second square. So I generally consider g as to be negative, so I consider it to be g. So there are two ways: either you include g directly in your formula, that if you are using this, then use ut and it's half at square, just to give an example of a formula. So I would consider it minus half gt square, because I have put acceleration is equal to minus g, and the value of the g is 9.8. So it will be wrong to consider minus here. So directly use g equal to 9.8, but while putting the acceleration, put a equal to minus g. So it will be good to follow only one convention. So don't get confused that okay, you are putting a equal to g and then g equal to minus 9.8. Just remember, this is a mod of g, or the value of g is 9.8. You are just putting acceleration equal to minus of g, because you are interested in giving the sign convention to the actual variables which were already there. So let's say, let's do an example in which we will be using some of these concepts and it will get clear. One other concept which will be cleared in this example is that we focused that these equations are only applied in one direction. So if I am talking about gravity and anything which is in vertical direction, then there is an implicit j cap which is involved in each of them. J cap related to u, j cap related to s, and j cap related to a, because time is not a vector. So because an implicit j cap is already involved, I would not be writing it again and again. The question which we did in the previous video, in that video we were implicitly assuming the I cap to be there because we were considering a motion of the car in the x direction. So the question says, which we are going to do here, is that there is a balloon and it starts from ground and moves with a constant velocity for 4 seconds. At 4 seconds, there is a stone which is left from the balloon and it reaches ground in 6 seconds. So let's consider what is the information that is given to us already in the question. So first of all, it says that the balloon starts from the ground. Because anything is starting from the ground in the upward direction, so it is moving at a constant velocity and it has a constant velocity to start with. That's why it's able to move in the upward direction against the force of gravity. Other thing is that it was moving with a constant velocity for a time period of 4 seconds. And what happened after 4 seconds? A stone was left in the air from the balloon. Because the stone was left in the air at that moment, its initial velocity will be considered to be 0. Because the velocity was 0, then the force of gravity acted upon it, and due to that acceleration due to gravity, it gained some speed while it was reaching to the ground. And it reaches ground in 6 seconds. So we know the time it took to come from a certain height which the balloon attained in 4 seconds and then hit the ground in 6 seconds. One important thing to note is that because the stone was coming down and was hitting the ground, it does not mean that the final velocity of the stone was 0, because the stone hit the ground with a certain velocity which we don't know about. So let us solve this question. So first of all, we will consider the balloon and we'll do analysis using the equations. Okay, what happened to balloon till a certain point. So if I am starting that, okay, at the ground when it started, I am considering that point to be t equal to 0. And let's say time equal to 4 seconds was a time when it reached up to a certain height, and that height, let us consider it to be h, and at that height it left the stone. So let us apply the equations of motion to the not equation of motion, the equation which of the uniformly excited motion to the balloon, and we'll just calculate. Because it was given that it's just traveling with a constant velocity, then we can directly find out that the displacement of the balloon is h and h j cap. So I will not be writing a j cap again and again, but just to start with, it represents that the balloon moved h in the positive y direction, that is the upward direction. So the s of the balloon was displacement of the balloon was h j cap, and it should be equal to the velocity which is constant. So let's say it's v naught, and it would be v naught j cap, because v naught is the magnitude and it's moving in the upward direction, and it moved for 4 seconds. So we have one equation, and I can remove the j cap because that's the only variable we are considering. This is the first equation which we got. The second equation is that now we will consider the stone, and we now know that because the variables associated with the stone is that it was left from the balloon at the height of h, and then it traveled that height of h from the vertical point to the ground in 6 seconds. So we know that the displacement of the stone, which should be final position minus initial position, and if ground is the origin, then the final position was here and the initial position was here. So the displacement vector is in downward direction. So it should be minus h j cap. because the stone is moving downwards. So the displacement is 0 minus hj cap, like 0 minus hj cap, so it gives us minus hj cap. And then we can apply this equation. So S equal to ut minus half gt square, because that is a acceleration equal to minus g, because that is the acceleration acting on the stone while it is coming down. And I think I mentioned earlier that the stone would be leaving the balloon with 0 velocity, but it is given that because if I am in the balloon and I am leaving the stone, then I am also moving with a velocity equal to v naught. That was the constant velocity of the balloon. So the initial velocity of the stone would also be v naught, because if this is the balloon and this is moving at v naught, the moment I leave a stone from here, it would also have an initial velocity v naught, but because there is a mechanism associated with the balloon which is keeping its velocity constant in v naught, it will keep on moving in upward direction at v naught, but because the stone is detached from it, it will have an initial velocity of v naught, then it will come down to the ground. So as we have calculated, it should be minus h. U will be minus like v naught t, because the initial push or the initial velocity given would be in the same direction. So it would be v naught j cap, because it was in the upward direction, not minus v naught j cap, but I am not writing j cap because it's explicitly implicitly there. And then t is a time period which the stone took to come from this point to this point. T was this time period, and we know that t is equal to 6 seconds. So I can just remove and write it 6, and minus, and the value of the acceleration due to gravity is 9.8, but for simplifying purposes we can also take it 10. So it's totally up to your judgment. If it's not given in the question that what is the value of the g, then you can take either of these. It depends on the kind of options which you have seen in the question. If they are very precise and near to each other, then you might have to take 9.8. Otherwise, most of the times you can also take 10 and it would give you a right answer. So this is the second equation which we have got. So now we have two variables, h and v naught, and we have two equations, so we can easily find out the value of v naught as well as h. So let us do that. So if I am putting equation 1 into 2, then it would give me 10 v naught is equal to 18, so it would give me 80 v naught equal to 18 meter per second, and h would be 72 meters. So just giving a summary of the question. So what we were given that a balloon starts from the ground, it moves upward with a constant velocity. At 4 seconds, a stone was left from the balloon, because at that moment the balloon was still traveling at a constant velocity. The stone also had that constant velocity for that initial moment. So the initial velocity of the stone was same as the velocity of the balloon. Once the stone was left from the balloon, it has an initial velocity. Then the acceleration due to gravity was acting on it in the downward direction, that made the balloon to lose its initial velocity in the upward direction and then come downwards towards the ground. The stone took 6 seconds from that initial position to come to the ground. So the net displacement of the stone was negative, because it was in the downward direction, and the displacement was equal to h, the same h which the balloon traveled in the initial 4 seconds. We can use the simple equations which we learned in the uniformly accelerated motion discussion, and because we knew the time period, we were inclined to use the second equation of motion, which was s equal to ut plus half at square. We discussed that a has to be put as minus g, because g is always acting in a downward direction, and g, because it's a magnitude, the letter g or the variable g, it has to be put either 9.8 or 10 meter per second square, as per what has been given in the question or as per the convenience of finding out the correct answer. Then we find out two equations in h and v naught, and then we use them to find out the value of v naught and h. So overall, that is the question, and it clarifies the concept of the gravity, the sign convention, the value of gravity. And earlier we did a question in which we were considering the motion in x direction, but now in this one we were considering the motion in the y direction. So we can write j cap, and the velocity magnitude is 18 meter per second, but the actual velocity vector would be 18 j cap. Similarly, the h is 72 meter, but if I am talking about the displacement of the stone, it would be minus 72 j cap, and the displacement of the balloon would be 72 j cap plus 72 j cap. So because all the displacement, position, velocities and accelerations are vectors, so we need to specify the direction. But because we are only dealing in one direction at a time, we generally just leave the j cap or I cap symbol so that we keep on continuing in a simpler fashion. But in the next part of the chapter, or next part, or maybe next chapter, we will be discussing about 2D motion, in which we would be considering the motion of a ball or anything in both the directions simultaneously. And we would be using these same equations of motion in both the direction. Then we would be using them in separate. We would be using them separately. First in I cap and second in j cap. This is one thing or one good habit to just have it from the starting itself, so that it won't bother you in the next part or in many complex questions which you would be able to face towards the this chapter and then in the next chapter as well. Thank you.